but I certainly haven't been able to help them much. I just told them that. I've done a horrible job with you fellas. I thought I misread you. I thought we would be more ready to compete there, and that's the boss's responsibility. Totally accountable. Totally accountable.
And again, I'm kind of excited about my next chapter. I have no idea what the hell it's going to be, but I'm excited about that and relocating probably somewhere else. And 23 South Bend winters probably been enough, and I'm kind of excited about that too.
Accountability. That seems to be the word that you all have to describe as Mike Brey, as he announced yesterday in a press release, along with Tom Noy sneaking it out a little before. Mike Brey, as you saw in today's press conference that happened at 11 in Notre Dame Stadium, which he liked to allude to, is the first time he ever been in the big press conference area. Never had that ability in his all 23 years, but took him all the time to get there. But Jacob Irons, JJ Post, Tyler Reidy, we're breaking it all down, but we're really talking about the leading story on Notre Dame's campus here. If you haven't heard, Mike Brey will be retiring at the end of this season, retiring in all quotes because it's more likely a step-down situation. However, with that vacancy, that opens this up for a situation of who's going to be the next basketball coach. And like Mike Brey said, he's given them ample notice to start making phone calls. JJ, let's start with you. Who do you think's on the line going to maybe pick up?
So I divide this into two tiers. Tier one is the unrealistic tier, the tier that you give these guys a call because you have to. You know, you want to have the best chance to make your program be one of the best, and these guys probably aren't going to pick the phone, but you got to give them a call regardless. That is John Calipari. That is Rick Pitino.
Whoa! NCAA violation.
I was dared to put that on there by someone.
NCAA violation.
I know we won't hire Rick Pitino, but it would be funny, so we should do it.
He is Catholic, though. You do have to remember that.
He is Catholic. Slick Rick is Catholic. You should remember this. But yeah, John Calipari, Rick Pitino, Steve Peichel maybe from Rutgers is someone there, and hey, Jay Wright maybe. I know he's not coaching anymore.
Whoa! Coach a CBS broadcaster.
I'm not going to hire Jay Wright. I'll give you the spoiler there. And then tier two is I think where you get more into realistic options, where I think you go Darian DeVries, Micah Shrewsbury, and Porter Moser. Moser in particular, you're going to get to Shrewsbury later. I'd like to highlight Moser as one option here. Someone who's had success at a Notre Dame-like school at Loyola in Chicago. Someone with big Chicago roots. You probably could entice him to return home. He's a huge Cubs fan. Tell him he can get back to within an hour of Wrigley. Someone that I think when he went to Oklahoma, I think it was a bit of a surprise because it felt like he was holding out for a job like Notre Dame when he was at Loyola. But he obviously engineered some fantastic runs at Loyola. He's a coach that, can bring some defensive stability to Notre Dame, which I think under Bray was kind of the sticking point of what the team had lacked. So I think there'd be some refreshment there for him to come here. Someone that has no problem succeeding in an environment where he probably does not going to have the resources to be, an SEC school. He's not going to be a blue blood resources pool, but he knows how to get around that because at Loyola he worked with less. So I think he's someone that maybe you can entice with some, some promise of heading back to Chicago area. Someone you can entice by heading back to a school where, maybe it's a bit of familiarity into working around the obvious unique hurdles that Notre Dame has to offer. He's someone who knows how to do that at Loyola. I think he's someone that maybe could be enticed to be brought home even though he currently has a Power 5 job.
And I'll take a look at Micah Shrewsbury as well. You mentioned him earlier from Penn State. He would be considered one of those pretty big hires potentially for Jack Swarbrick. And I do think he has the resources, and Notre Dame has the track record to pick up someone like him. You look at some of the past tournament success in the last 10 years for Mike Brey. Notre Dame has the capability to go pretty far if they can pick up a fairly large name. Shrewsbury has a track record as well as developing talent. And Notre Dame, you look at after this season, they're losing quite a few guys. Cormac Ryan, Dane Goodwin, Nate Lashevsky. Very old team's going to become a very young team, and he's going to need to help them rebuild a little bit, and bring in a guy like him who's turned around the Nittany Lions very quickly. It's going to help a lot to get Notre Dame back into contention very quickly and avoid a big letdown, a big slowdown for the program.
Yeah, he used to coach at IU South Bend. You could do worse in terms of familiarity with the area.
Yeah, exactly. 5 schools in Indiana he's worked at.
Go Titans, IU South Bend. However, I'm going to take a mid-major here, and I think everyone, if you're talking mid-majors, you got to talk about the College of Charleston at the right now. Go Cougars for me. It's Pat Kelsey, College of Charleston guy. This is a guy that seems like a no-brainer right now. He is number 18 in the country with a mid-major program that you're sitting there, you're like out of the CAA. Nothing really too much happening, but sitting 18th right now in the AP polls. He is a family man all throughout. He loves this guy. This is a guy that lives and breathes college basketball. He has that Marcus Freeman-esque to him that we love because he's got a family. He's Catholic, went to Xavier with a standout star with him. He's got that beautiful family that Notre Dame loves. And once again, I think this is a huge hire that you could get if at this exact point if you're Jack Swarbrick, to end your career as AD as he's starting to come down on his back legs, if you could pick up another big hire. You look at the hires that he's been able to produce. Look at Marcus Freeman, great hire. You look at Niele Ivey, great hire. You look at Salima Rockwell for volleyball, great hire. You look at baseball, you look at two right there that you have to sit there and say, these are great hires, and I give all the confidence to Jack Swarbrick. However, in that 11 a.m. press conference today, Mike Brey was very clear on one thing. He wants to be a part of that selection committee, and I would say Pat Kelsey and Mike Brey have a lot of the same tendencies. They're fired up, they're young guys, and Pat Kelsey is young enough that he could just sit here and you could get another 23 out of this guy. So I think that's what Notre Dame wants. I like that pick right there. I'm a big Pat Kelsey guy.
Anyone who's seen the video of Pat Kelsey with the Charleston student section after their upset win earlier this year knows that he definitely has that Mike Brey element of, wanting to build the community culture between the students, between the school, between the team. So I think from that sense, it's definitely a fit. And his resume, obviously, top tier as well for what he's done at Charleston, as well as Winthrop before them, which is by no means an easy program to build up.
No.
And what he's done, taking those two small programs and making them into contenders on a quick, turnaround, very impressive.
Very impressive.
Going to be very exciting sweepstakes, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and also something to note, Pat Kelsey does have ACC ties, was an assistant coach at Wake Forest as well. So I really pushed all my chips in when I was in the meeting. They came out with like what Tom Noy and everyone else is putting out there. I was like, give me a mid-major guy. Give me a guy that needs that next jump that I think that if Missy gives them a call, they might pick up and start answering. However, now let's flip it over, because if you talk Mike Brey and you talk men's basketball, I don't think there's too many people on this campus that don't like Mike Brey at this current moment. Mike Brey is one of those guys that everyone loves. Everyone has a Mike Brey story. Everyone knows something about the guy. So now let's talk about what his future could be at this potential moment. We'll start with you, Tyler. Where does he go at this current moment?
Yeah, I think he might just get into what you and I, JJ, are doing right now. How about a studio show analyst, one of the great characters in college basketball, Mike Brey. He's an outstanding people person, whether it's students, athletes, other coaches, other adults. I think he would be an excellent fit, quite frankly, on a studio show. And he's got a wealth of experience to speak from, and just a natural comedian and entertainer. He just comes off so relaxed, known as the loosest coach in college basketball, and I think he would make an outstanding fit in that circumstance.
I agree. I think he's an awesome circumstance. And like you said, guy coming to many call the press conference announcing your end. He's coming out there, he's like, dang, I'd do anything to beat the Jesuits. This guy's trying to crack a laugh, so maybe he is pretty good up here on the desk. Maybe we'll have to invite Mike Brey up here maybe to give a test run out here on the studio show.
I will void my seat if he wants to take this
Mike, we are always welcome at Shamrock Sports. You have a middle seat ready and open as always. But JJ, where do you think he's going to go?
I think he can go wherever he wants. Like Tyler alluded to, he's a guy that has a pretty much perfect versatility to him. He can interact with people. He's someone who's well liked basically everywhere you go in the basketball community. So I personally would love to keep him at Notre Dame. I think he would be perfect in sort of like a special advisory role, be it to the basketball team, be it to Jack Swarbrick. But if Mike Brey wants to go retire on a beach in Rehoboth, like he's kind of alluded to over his career, I think he's perfect for that as well. If he wants to become the most successful coach in Delaware high school basketball history, I think he's more earned that right. I think he'd be perfect for it. He's a guy that, once again, you get the sense no matter where he goes, he will be relaxed, he will be happy, and he will be an asset to wherever he goes.
I think Mike Brey would be an awesome high school basketball coach. That's a chilled, relaxed environment. The 63-year-old, you can coach on a beach, and let's be honest, any high school around here, I would have to imagine, would pick up the phone if he applied. And you're like, all right, here you go. But for me, I think it was. Notre Dame is very selective in how they choose these press releases. There's a million people at Fighting Irish Media that do all these jobs. They work on diction and verbiage of these press releases poignantly. And I think the line that struck everybody was, we are opening that door and opening to talking about future roles Mike has with this athletic department. I think for me that makes a no-brainer. I think Mike Brey, he's still young and knows Notre Dame so well. He's going to be an advisor. I think this guy is what you want. Whether it's fan experience, whether it's community engagement. This is a guy that lives and breathes. Like we talked about, he's one of the longest tenured head coaches at Notre Dame at the current moment. He is here. He knows the South Bend area. Although he says he calls himself, at the press conference today, I'm an honorary Michiander. He knows what it is to be here. I think he loves it here, although he did say he doesn't care for the South Bend winners, but who does? Who really does? I would prefer a Connecticut winner over a South Bend winner, but that might be a hot take at some junctures. However, I think an advisor really would be an interesting role for Mike Brey to have at this current moment. But let's keep it on the hardwood at this current moment. And let's talk a little women's basketball because they're also starting to heat up. However, last night, if you watched in the Regional Sports Network, only beat Clemson by 3, a mid-ACC program, as we thought about that a little bit about. But really, as you enter into the second half of the season and you're starting to see postseason play upon us, who needs to step up at this current moment, JJ?
I think Darren Mabry comes to mind as answer number one because this is a guard-heavy team. There's no getting around it.
Yeah.
This is not a team that is built to beat teams in the post. This is not a team that's built out muscle teams. This is not a team that wants to be playing defensive basketball. This is a team that likes to get into shootouts. They were one of the highest-scoring teams in the nation last year. They were one of the highest-scoring teams early on this season. Lately, because Darren Mabry has kind of cooled off, they've had to play more defensive basketball. And so far, it's done well. They did really good against Clemson in a couple tight spots, playing really good team-oriented defense and holding Clemson. But this is not where they want to be in the tournament. This is the team that wants to score 80 points on you and force them to score 80 points as well. And Darren Mabry is kind of key to that because Olivia Miles, I think it's clear by now, she is possibly, I'm not sure how much hot take this is the best point guard in basketball. She's a player that will give you 20 points every night. She'll probably give you 9 assists as well, and she is an impact all over the floor. But you can't have Miles just doing everything. You need to have a shooter to make people respect the fact that Miles can drive or shoot. But you need to have a second option somewhere. And I don't think it's going to come from the post. I don't think, Lauren Ebo and Kylie Watson as a platoon, they're serviceable, they're solid, but they're not players that are going to take over a game. Darren Mabry's type of player is when she's hot, like we saw last year, when she's hitting, is a player that makes Notre Dame's spacing completely change because teams will have to respect where she is. Right now, if you look at only high major games, she's shooting 28% from the floor, 28% for 3. Yeah. That is not going to fly. That's not something that, when you shoot 1 for 11, like she's doing against Clemson, that's not something that teams are going to have to respect, and that's something that she's probably just going to have to shoot her way out of. I don't think this is a issue in times teams are defending her. I don't think it's an issue in how the mechanics now are shooting. She's just not hitting right now. And I think if you are Neil Ivey, priority number 1A has to be get Mabry firing again, make her in a position where teams have to know that if Miles is on the ball, she's not just going to go to the hoop. She's not just going to pull up. She has options she can pass to. I think the most prominent of those options is your fifth-year guard in Darren Mabry, someone who you can trust to shoot the ball. And if she's shooting, that's a player that teams are going to have to show some respect to and show some respect to Notre Dame as a result.
Yeah.
You talk about Notre Dame's propensity for shootouts, and I think oftentimes junior forward Maddie Westbeld can be that difference between whether you put up 80 or 65 points. She's been very boom or bust this year. Look at early January, Notre Dame's schedule. She had 4 points in the loss to UNC, just Notre Dame's second loss this year, but then put up 25 against Wake Forest, 15 more against Clemson last night. She has a high scoring capability because she's very versatile. She can do it on the inside. She can do it from the elbow with some jumpers, and even from three-point range. She's 14 for 35 this year, knocking them down at 40%. And just looking at the Clemson game specifically, you see all these dimes from Olivia Miles, getting it to her on the inside. I think Westbeld can really take the pressure off of Olivia Miles down the stretch here because everyone knows how good she is, and as the season continues, they're going to have even more film on her, even more to look at. But I think Westbeld can provide a lot of help to Olivia Miles down the stretch here, and I think they can create a really strong high-low game together going forward to close out this year.
Yeah. However, I'm going to stay on that high-low game. I think really JJ alluded to it. Notre Dame is a guard-centered offense. That's where it is. But you got to establish a post. If you don't establish a post, you can't do anything in college basketball. So my thing is, Lauren Ebo, you got to get in it. She has showed a lot of glimmers of hope right now. She's running the floor. She knows how to be there. She is a rebounding machine, girl. Just get under there. She can be there continuously. Her offensive rebound is ridiculous. She knows how to place herself. She knows how to box out effectively. And she does not quit on a play. Time and time again, especially in this North Carolina game. I think this was her most promising showing. However, she just didn't. Team didn't win, sadly. But however, if they did win, it was going to be because of Ebo. And at this current moment, I think for you, you need to establish a post. If you establish a post, you're opening up a situation at this current moment that you can bring people in, clear the outside. It's as simple as it goes in basketball at this current moment. If you got a post player, you got to squeeze in. If you got guards, squeeze out. But then if you can establish both, that's where we get complicated, people. It's not that hard. However, at this current moment, I really like Lauren Ebo. I think she's someone that needs to step up. Not saying that she hasn't played well. She's played exactly where I think everyone expected her to play. She's played a steady fifth man on the floor, but really, if she could step up, get those rebounds, start producing a couple more points in the paint for Notre Dame, I think that really takes them from an Elite 8 team to a Final Four team.
Yeah, I think really, I think the focusing on one player kind of misses the overall thing you need to see from Notre Dame if you want them to be a Final Four contender, which is consistency.
Yes.
This is a team that consistently shows flashes in one area, but not the other. It's always a guessing game, what's going to show up, what's not show up. Against Clemson, it was the defense that made the plays when it needed to, when they won a rock fight, a game that where neither team really got into an offensive first gear. Then, you look at the UConn game, where the offense is flowing. Olivia Miles had, I think, 14 first quarter points, like 2 assists as well. She was on fire, but the defense wasn't really, making sure UConn never stayed out of that game. So it's just for all season, it's been, okay, is the offense going to show up? Is the defense going to show up? Which is better than last year, which just the offense is there, but the defense never is. So there is improvement on that front, but it's just a matter of at what point are both those things going to show up, and will they show up in a game where it matters most? Exactly.
However, there was another sport going on while we were away at the current moment. Andrew McGinnis sits down and really talks to us about Notre Dame's hockey season and where it can improve on as we're starting to end that into the postseason.
Thanks very much, guys. Irish hockey also had some action over winter break and neither improved nor progressed from their play in the first few months of the season. It's been an up and down season so far for the Irish, who haven't been able to gain much traction through their first 24 games of the season. Notre Dame ended 2022 and began 2023 with home games against Alaska Fairbanks. The Irish managed just 4 goals on the weekend, but earned a split behind a 25-save New Year's Day shutout from Ryan Bischel. Drew Bavaro and Trevor Janicki scored in the Irish victory. Notre Dame nearly pulled off an incredible comeback the night before, cutting a 3-0 deficit down to 3-2 with just over 9 minutes left in the third, on goals by Hunter Strand and Chase Primo, but they weren't able to finish the job. The Irish further demonstrated their inconsistency in their first road series of the calendar year at Wisconsin, which also ended in a split. The Irish were shut out by Wisconsin in the series opener, wasting a spectacular 35-save performance from Bischel. The next night, however, the Irish jumped out to a 5-0 lead, scoring a whopping 4 goals in the first period. Wisconsin did threaten to come back, getting within 2 goals twice, but the Irish killed off all 6 Badgers power plays to bring home the victory. Finally, Notre Dame finished their break schedule against the talented number 2 ranked team in the country, the Minnesota Golden Gophers. This time, Notre Dame was happy to come away with the split, getting the extra Big Ten standings point in a shootout win on Friday before their offense dried up in a 3-0 loss on Saturday. The Irish did get some good individual news, though, recently, with defenseman Nick Lieberman and forward Trevor Janicki being nominated for the Hobie Baker Award for college hockey's top player. The Irish will be back in action next weekend against number 6 Penn State, who they also split against earlier in the season in South Bend. That's all from me. I'm Andrew McGinnis. Back to you guys at the desk.
Well, thank you, Andrew. We were so happy to get all the lowdown of what's going on at Compton, as they've got some big weekend series coming up, especially down this later stretch as they're trying to gain a couple Big Ten standings. However, with Mike Brey announcing his stepping away from the program, we thought there would be no better time to bring out one of the funnest segments we like to call What's the Best Giveaway? Because Mike Brey, as the man himself, loves himself a giveaway. He wears every giveaway possible. So, let's break giveaways down here. We met tirelessly. This was the worst part of our job this week, was at our production meeting, we had to come up with what was the best giveaway. There were so many to put down. I couldn't conclude, he couldn't conclude, but Tyler, where are we going with the best giveaway?
All right, so I am going to start with a game actually this year, last semester in December, the Marquette game, John Shoemate Ring of Honor game against the Golden Eagles. Notre Dame brought out the John Shoemate 1970s replica jersey, and those things were just so clean. 1970s were the best era for college basketball unis, and the gold with the green Shamrock was just perfect. Really complements well, I think, in modern times, the navy and gold that Notre Dame goes with this year and over the past decades and throughout their history as well. And it just felt right to do it against a Big East team, Notre Dame's former conference, a Big East team in Marquette. Just a great tradition to bring back.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with this year. I'm going to go to a game where the result that matched the giveaway was a little better. The Aviators from Michigan State. One of the few bright spots of this year was the Aviator game, where everyone in the student section, it was Top Gun night, so everyone gave out the Aviators. Tyler has the official ones. I have these knockoffs I got on Amazon. This was a fun game. They gave us the Aviators. The team was shooting the lights out. They boat raced a quality opponent. This was the game where it felt like maybe some of that 2021 magic was still with the team. Obviously, the results for the rest of the year didn't match, but the giveaway was great, and the performance was great as well.
Those are knockoffs. I can see myself in them. Those are really nice. However, I am going away from 2022 and 2023. I am leaving that all together. I've got a great shirt here. I don't know if Andrew Olschlager will ever watch this. He's one of my good buddies. He's a Siggy guy. He made this. He's a graphic designer. He's part of FIM. He did the Break Down the Thunder t-shirt. This man works magic. This is when we talk about Mike Brey and how funny he is. This man was out at SDH on top of tables, and you know what? Break down the thunder, my man. I will wear this wherever. Our station manager wore this at Alabama when Notre Dame played Alabama, and he's rebounding. So you know what? This is the shirt. It might have Burger King on the back, but who cares? Because it's break down the thunder. We're breaking down the thunder at Notre Dame, and I think this is the best giveaway by far. It's a white t-shirt, has that nice look to it. I really like it. I think this is really the way to go for giveaways the rest of the way.
It's a whopper of a shirt. What else can I say?
I
A
won't lie.
whopper of a shirt.
This is my shirt. Jake borrowed it from me.
Yeah,
I won't lie.
I didn't
wore this
get
to
one.
class several times.
Exactly. You could do class in it. You could do class in it,
Good
too.
sponsorship, especially with the new commercial that's out. Everyone, I'm sure you're aware of the jingle. You know, Burger King's great. Breakdown Thunder even better. You gotta love it.
I love how he already took the shirt right off from under me. I appreciate it. However, that will wrap up today's Shamrock Sports. For Tyler Reidy, JJ Post, I'm Jacob Irons. I'm signing off. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if there's sports coverage happening on Notre Dame, come to NDTV right for it. For all of us, thank you so much.